My wife and I have been an item for over 5 years now. No kiddos yet. We're focusing on our careers, we argue, we patch things up. It's a typical family scene where many might see their own reflection. Our jobs don't require frequent trips across the country. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine such a story unfolding in my life. Sure, I'd heard tales of infidelity, but I figured not in my world. Come on. I never had any reason to suspect my wife. The signs weren't there. Everything went on as usual. And one day, just like any other, I headed off on yet another business trip slated to last 5 to 7 days. The routine. You bid your wife goodbye before work, give her a kiss and take off. But at that very moment, something sparked in my brain. I don't know if you buy into the idea of a sixth sense, but whatever it was, something felt different. The entire trip was clouded by this strange tension, borderline panic attacks even. There was a prickly irritation gnawing at me on the plane. All in all, a state of disarray. Once I arrived, I called up Sophia. "Hey, sweetie, I've landed. Everything all right? How's it going?" A moment of silence ensued. "Hey there. Everything's great. I'm actually heading home a bit early today. They gave me the day off." "Awesome. How about we chat later tonight?" "I should be at the hotel right around 9. "Absolutely. I'll be looking forward to it." All this back and forth eased my nerves. It was short, but somehow the tension had dissipated. I checked in, made my way to the facility, gathered all the details, and took a good look around. I grabbed the contract to familiarize myself with it more thoroughly. By the time evening rolled around 9, I was settled into my hotel. I attempted to make some calls, but nobody picked up the phone. That unsettling feeling crept back in. This was uncharted territory for me. After the 10th attempt, the first thought that crossed my mind was that something must have gone awry. I tried to soothe myself. Well, it's possible she dozed off or indulged in the lengthy soak. But let me tell you, that didn't ease the anxiety one bit. So I tried again after half an hour. Still no answer. I figured it might be a good idea to ring her girlfriend and see if she knew what was up. Maybe she had some insight into Sophia's whereabouts. Harper picked up and told me that Sophia had conked out at her place. They'd had a few drinks, and she just knocked out. I managed to regain my composure, yet the nagging worry lingered. Around noon, a text from Sophia popped up. "Sorry, I dozed off." My phone died. Right then, I was in the middle of negotiations, but her message struck a chord. An overwhelming urge to head back home took over. After hastily wrapping up what I could and shuffling appointments around, I snagged the earliest flight out. It was an impulsive move, but like I mentioned earlier, there was this peculiar drive, a kind of nudge, telling me that it was imperative to act immediately. After stopping by his spouse's workplace, her supervisor mentioned that she had opted for unpaid leave due to feeling under the weather and had departed earlier from work. Once back in my vehicle, a flurry of thoughts began to assail me, with absurd ideas encroaching upon my mind. The initial impulse was to ring Harper, her confidant. "Hello, Elaine. And where's Sophia?" "Hey there. At the office, obviously. Where else?" "Seems I can't reach her." "Ah, right, Ethan. She left her mobile with me." "Got it. Thanks. Do me a favor. Ask her to ring me when she can." The drive home was tense, riddled with grim thoughts as various suspicions crossed my mind. As I approached the house, I caught sight of a man on the balcony, and there stood my wife beside him. I can't speak for anyone else, but my mind went blank, and a shiver ran down my spine. Honestly, I don't even recall ascending to the 5th floor and turning the doorknob. I walked into the apartment, and there was Sophia looking utterly stunned. The same guy remained in his underwear, as if nothing were amiss. To say I was shocked would be a gross understatement. But that's when the real drama unfolded. I found myself frozen, just staring at them. Suddenly, the man dashed towards the balcony and began to scale over the edge. My wife was mouthing something in a distressed tone, but I couldn't make out a word. In the blink of an eye, the man disappeared from sight. I plopped down in the kitchen, grabbed a bottle, poured myself a glass, and took a drink. It was in that moment that the reality of the situation began to sink in. I wasn't sure what my next move should be, but instinctively, I started gathering up her belongings. Moreover, the situation was such that I couldn't make out her words at all. After gathering nearly all their garments, I grabbed the suitcase and set it outside the door. Throughout this ordeal, I hadn't managed a single word to her. She hurriedly packed, and just as she was about to step out, the doorbell echoed with apologies. I swung the door open, and there stood the police on my doorstep. They reported that someone had apparently tumbled from our balcony, resulting in 2 broken legs, an arm, and some other injuries. Upon hearing this, I burst into uncontrollable laughter. The officer, observing the packed suitcases, my sobbing wife, and my own hysterical laughter, simply stood there dumbfounded. So you can probably guess where I ended up, yes, at the police station. That's when reality caught up with me. I found out that Sophie had been cheating on me for a whole year. The dude who jumped from the balcony was none other than her boss. The cops let me go. And for weeks, Sophia tried to get back into my life. Oh my God, I felt a deep emptiness that lasted for about 6 months. Having listened to my inner instinct and committed a completely reckless act, I was left without a wife. I threw her lover off the balcony. That's what they mean when they say it's both a comedy and a tragedy.